day, everyone! Today we explore a big question. What is nationalism? To help us understand, we have a very special guest, historian and political scientist, Benedict Anderson. Mr. Anderson, you describe a nation as an imagined community. Can you explain what that means?
Of course, a nation is imagined because, even though people don't personally know everyone in their country, they still feel connected. It's also seen as sovereign, meaning people believe they have the right to rule themselves. Even though some think nations have always existed, the idea of nationalism is actually modern, developing in the late 18th century.
That's fascinating. Many experts also describe nationalism in different ways. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy says nationalism is both a feeling of belonging and the actions taken to protect a nation's independence. Meanwhile, Merriam-Webster defines it as loyalty to one's nation and often placing it above others. Lastly, the Oxford Research Encyclopedias explain that nationalism is a belief that a nation is the most important form of community and should be protected at all costs.
That's true. Nationalism is powerful because it gives people a sense of unity and purpose. In the Philippines, nationalism grew as Filipinos realized their shared identity under Spanish rule, which led to the fight for independence.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Now, let's go to our experts in the field. To understand nationalism, we must first define what makes a nation. Joining us now is Ms. Santos, a professor of history and nationalism studies. Professor, can you explain what characterizes a nation?
What characterizes a nation is essential to fully grasping the concept of nationalism. A nation is not just defined by its geographical boundaries or government structure. It is shaped by its people, culture, and shared history. First, a shared identity is what defines a nation. This identity is derived from common ideas, language, customs, and values. In the Philippines, our rituals, dialects, and way of life bind us together as Filipino despite our regional variety. Second, a country has its collective memory and shared history. A people's national consciousness is shaped by their experiences, triumphs, and hardships. Third, a nation needs unity and solidarity. For example, the Philippines' history of colonization, revolutions, and independent struggle developed its sense of identity and patriotism. People from diverse backgrounds must cooperate to achieve shared objectives. When Filipinos from many regions put aside their differences to fight for independence during the Philippine Revolution, this spirit of oneness was clearly seen. Lastly, a country had to be sovereign and self-governing. Being able to rule ourselves without outside interference is a sign of true nationhood. During Spanish colonization, Dr. Rizal and the other Filipino revolutionaries fought for precisely this. Speaking of Dr. Rizal, he played a significant part in forming Filipino nationalism. In contrast to other revolutionaries who fought with guns, Rizal awoke the Filipino spirit with his writings and wits. Filipinos were motivated to seek change after reading his novels No Le Tangere and El Filibusterismo, which revealed the iniquities of the Spanish colonial authority. Filipinos realized they had the right to self-determination as a result of his support to reforms and education. Filipinos learned about their national identity and their right to freedom as a result of his works. The people's determination was only bolstered by his execution, which sparked a revolution that ultimately ended Spanish control in the Philippines. Once we understand what defines a nation, we can also appreciate the sacrifices made to build and protect it. That's why nationalism remains relevant today, not just in history, but in our everyday lives. Back to you, Alexa.
Thank you, Professor Santos. Now, let's take a closer look at how Dr. Jose Rizal played a major role in Philippine nationalism. For that, we go to our field reporter, Reporter Andrea.
Thank you, partner. Again, I'm Andrea Bayano, and for today's news, we will talking about the legacy and impact of Rizal novels, including Rizal Law. As we all know that Dr. Snoopy Rizal is our national hero here in the Philippines because he helped formulate a national identity for the Philippines. Rizal has proven that with his pen and a piece of paper, we will continue to rise against the injustices that many Filipinos experienced during Spanish colonization. His two novels entitled Noli Me Tangere, or in English, Touch Me Not, and El Filibusterismo, in English, The Reign of Greed, symbolized as the founding text of Philippine nationalism. The two novels expose the ills of the Spaniard colonial government and the evils prevailing in Philippine society by presenting a narrative that contextualized the country in terms of politics, economy, and culture. Rizal used literature as a tool to awakening social consciousness, portraying the different types of Filipino from those with a colonial mindset to those willing to fight for the nation's freedom. These novels are important in history because of the bold depiction of the abuse and corruption of Spaniards. He revealed the true condition of Philippine society in 19th century, where the nation was divided between the oppressor and the oppressed. Through the characters in the history, Rizal showcased the essential qualities of Filipinos, such as gratitude, the loyalty of women, and the desire for freedom and equality. Since the novels are all about the ill of the Spanish colonization government, the evils prevailing in the Philippine society, it was deemed so dangerous that the Spanish authorities banned it outright, along with its sequels, El Filibusterismo. But despite being banned by Spanish authorities due to their critical content, copies of Rizal novels were secretly distributed, becoming symbol of resistance and inspiring Filipinos to aspire freedom and independence. The Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo played a crucial role in shaping national identity and inspiring the Philippine Revolution, particularly influencing Andres Bonifacio and the Katipunan. Rizal was arrested, exiled, and ultimately executed in 1896 due to his writings. To honor Rizal and inspire nationalism through understanding his contribution in shaping Filipino character, Republic Act 1425 enacted in 1956. The law mandates the inclusion of courses on Rizal's life works and writings, particularly his novels, in the curricula of all public and private schools, colleges, and universities in the Philippines. The law aims to instill patriotism and nationalism among Filipino students. And that's all for Rizal legacy and impact to the Philippines. Formulate a national identity for the Filipinos. And to add some more trivia and information about the contribution of Rizal works in the Philippines, let's have Ms. Macarek to add some more information about this topic.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to discuss Rizal's contribution, which remain deeply relevant to our understanding of Philippine identity and history. Rizal's contribution to Philippine nationalism are evident in his literary works, particularly Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, which expose the abuses of Spanish colonial rule and the Catholic Church. Through vivid characters and stories, he awakens sense of shared identity among Filipinos, helping them imagine themselves as one nation. As Benedict Anderson described, his works inspired both reformists and revolutionaries. Rizal's novels address issues like corruption, inequality, and colonial mentality problems that remain relevant. Studying his work reminds us of the values of education, critical thinking, and love of country, which is essential for national building.
Thank you so much, Ms. Makarek, for sharing your information with us. This will surely inspire a lot of students to appreciate and give importance to Rizal work. Back to you, partner.
Thank you, reporter Andrea. That's all for our breaking news here at News Live. I am Alexa Monterosa, your reporter for today.